Once again, you already know what it is, and you already know where you have reached the number one up-and-coming professional wrestling combat sports podcast anywhere in the world. This is Clash of the Podcast right here on Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. We are really fired up because it's fight week, y'all. It's fight week, and we are really getting ready for what should be a pretty good, interesting fight this coming Friday night. It's Friday night, remember that, Friday night, coming up on Triller TV. We're going to get into the details very shortly. But before I do, I got to make sure I introduce my longtime co-host and friend. He is the proprietor of the one and only Everything Pro Wrestling and the co-host of Clash of the Podcast. He is the one and only Conrad Cushman. Welcome, my brother.
Sean, thank you for having me. Can't wait to talk a little bit of boxing. I'm really interested in this main event.
Same here, man. Same here. My name is Sean Hubbard, and this is Hubbard Wrestling Weekly Clash of the Podcast special, as we are going to break down and preview Adrien the Problem Broner against Blair Cobbs. It's going to be a pay-per-view on Triller, and you can go to trillertv.com to order this fight. It's going to be taking place right from my background. Feel that sun in that background, Conrad. We're going to be live from the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida on Friday, June 7th. The pay-per-view starts at 6 p.m. There are going to be a half a dozen epic fights, and it's definitely going to be a must-watch for any professional boxing fan. So, with that being said, let's get right into this thing. First thing I want to talk about, though, Conrad, is the elephant in the room. We're talking about Adrien the Problem Broner, right? And as he gets ready for June 7th on Triller TV, we can't ignore the fact that this young man, my phone gives me all kinds of problems. We have to think about issues that this young man has had going into this fight. Now, if you go back into the annals of time and you think about Adrien Broner's career, this guy was the heir apparent. This man was someone who a lot of people felt was going to be literally the next Floyd Mayweather. He was an undefeated multi-divisional world champion. He had some epic fights that he won against Paulie Malignaggi and others. And he walked into superstardom. The About Billions brand, AB, The Problem, all that good stuff, the Can Man. He was basically, he had arrived. He had put himself on the map as being one of the biggest fighters in the entire world. That is until October of 2013. Now, Sean, what are you talking about? October 2013. That was 11 years ago. Well, we're talking about a 23-year-old Adrien Broner, undefeated world champion, defending his championship against a relatively unknown. He had a couple of good fights under his belt, but a relatively unknown man by the name of Marcos Maidana. And that night in San Antonio, Texas, when that fight was announced in October of 2013, and we get to December 14th in San Antonio, Texas, in the Alamo Dome, do you remember?
Oh, we remember in the Alamo.
Okay, I was just about to, because look, there was nobody in the boxing world. There was no pundit anywhere in the boxing world that would have thought Adrien Broner would have lost this fight. He was on a trajectory to superstardom, and he's defending his championship, the welterweight championship of the world, WBA to be exact, against Marcos Maidana, December 14th, 2013. And it just didn't work out. Maidana became the new champion. He knocked down Broner several times in that fight. Broner gets beat by decision. The championship leaves his waist. And Conrad, I'm going to throw it to you. It seemed like Broner was never the same after that. It's been 11 years. It seemed like he never recovered.
I think it's tough to explain what happened. I feel like in boxing, a big loss can hurt. I think we're seeing some fighters go through it now. I won't bring them up right now, but
Right.
if you suffer that big loss like that, I feel like it sent him into a I keep saying a downward spiral. Like it wasn't all bad, but it changed. Like something wasn't the same. Like he had lost that marquee. It feels like, and I think it bruised his ego. If anything, like you said, this was the guy who I thought was going to replace Floyd. Like when Floyd Mayweather was going to step back from boxing a little bit more, I thought this was going to be the guy he would promote.
Absolutely.
And this was my main event. This was who I'm rocking with. This is who I'm putting all my money on. This dude's going to beat you. And it didn't turn out that way. Like I remember going to like pay-per-view parties just to watch AB, and I'm like, what? This dude is talking crazy. Like he was a good talker, and then ever since then, he don't talk the same no more. Really, he says some stuff that we're like, you thought so, buddy? You really?
It's
really
wild.
don't?
It's wild. I mean, like I said, December 14, 2013, he defends the WBA welterweight championship against Marcos Maidana. He's unsuccessful in that title defense, and it begins like this wild ride of fights. Now he wouldn't lose a fight for another 2 years. So when people thought that he fell off, he didn't really fall off per se. He ended up beating Carlos Molina in 2014. I believe that was May 3rd. He beat Emmanuel Taylor in September of 2014. John Molina Jr., he won by unanimous decision against, that was in March of 2015. He ended up losing to a very, very notable fighter, former world champion Sean Porter. That wasn't a massive loss. It was unanimous decision, but he wasn't humiliated in that loss. But then what happened was he came back and he won back the super lightweight championship in October of 2015 against Khabib Nurmagomedov. And there was a situation where he put himself back on the map. He won the fight by TKO in his hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio. Successfully defended the title a couple more times, but then once again stepped up in weight class, stepped up in class, period, against Mikey Garcia. He got dominated in that fight. A draw, a very unimpressive draw at Barclays Center in April of 2018 against Jesse Vargas. And then when the wheels really fell off, Conrad, January 19th, 2019, Adrien Broner, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. That man beat him like he stole something for 12 rounds. Manny Pacquiao. So Manny Pacquiao dominated Adrien Broner. It wasn't even a contest. And to much surprise, and quite frankly, astonishment, Broner gets on the mic, and I want you to recollect how you feel about his post-fight comments on that night. After the entire world saw Manny Pacquiao beat him, in my opinion, 11 rounds to 1, and that might even be generous, Conrad. Broner gets on the mic, he's cursing out Jim Gray, and he's saying he beat Pacquiao, he won the fight. What the heck was going on that night? That was nuts.
That's another bruised ego moment here in sports. Jim Gray didn't deserve that either, but I think he was just caught in the line of someone who was angry that they lost and couldn't. Think about this, Sean. When you're told you're great your entire life at boxing, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best, and then you finally get outclassed by someone, and you're like, man, how did that happen? Because people probably were betting money. I bet you everyone in Cincinnati, most of them had their money on him to win.
Absolutely. And
they were like, what? He lost? And Joel sees it too, man. He really thought he won that fight. And nah, man. Nah. And I don't know. I think it's just like a detachment from reality. And I know we're probably going to get into some of it too. And I know it's Men's Mental Health Month, but this is something to look at too with everything that's been going on. He stepped away after that too for a while. He had some brief like pauses in action. Maybe that was playing part into it at that point in time. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. The problem became a mystery to me.
100%. And we want to just give a shout out to people in the chat right quick. Big shout out to Joel. We appreciate you being here. He says, let's do this. Clown 13420. We appreciate you, dude, being here very much. Clash of the Podcast on Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. Joel, once again, saying huge boxing fan. Clown, showing how much of a wrestling fan he is, says, I think the last time I watched a boxing match in its entirety was when Butterbean knocked out Bart Gunn. WrestleMania 15, by the way. Yeah,
for all right there.
Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Joel showing some more love. Conrad showing some love right back. Mike Feasel in the building. We appreciate you, Mike Feasel, saying, hey, fellas, welcome to the show. And yes, Broner was very angry that night, saying that he lost the fight, or that he won the fight when the whole world knew that he didn't. And to my esteemed colleague Conrad Cushman's point, that did kind of send him into a tailspin. It was like a tailspin of continued missed fights, canceled Showtime appearances, legal trouble. We're not going to get too deep into that. But it very fast, this rising star, this man that was once 27-0, going in to the Alamo Dome in 2013 to fight in front of 40,000 people, the win really came out of his sails. Like I said, the loss to Garcia and the loss to Sean Porter and the obvious loss to Pacquiao, where he was clearly in denial. The fight against Santiago, as Joel brought up, where he won the fight, but it was highly controversial that he won that fight. So now we fast forward to what I like to call the second half of Adrien Broner's career. Now, I know that may sound a little silly because we're talking about a man with 30-plus fights, but this is definitely the resurgence, or we hope, of Adrien the Problem Broner. We're going to start at the very end. Last year, June 9th, the casino in Miami, Miami, Florida, I should say, the Jai Alai casino in Miami, he defeated Bill Hutchinson. Now, there's no historical significance to this fight whatsoever, Conrad. But it was a fight that was long in the making because it was the return of Adrien Broner after 2.5 years, after all these different situations. He won the fight very much in a ho-hum, very, what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't impressive at all. I mean, the whole world thought this was a setup fight. Not a setup fight, but a fight to set the stage, exactly, to set the stage for bigger and better things. And he wins by unanimous decision. Now, he clearly won the fight. I saw the fight on Triller TV. Make sure you see this upcoming fight on Triller TV as well. But a very uninspired performance. And that leads us to this Friday night, Conrad. We're talking about a young man who has been promoted in the past by Golden Boy Promotions. Obviously, we know that's Oscar De La Hoya's promotion. Blair Cobbs, he's sitting up here doing ventriloquist acts during the press conferences and making fun of Broner and getting under Broner's skin. Broner was very upset. If you check out the press conference, Broner was very upset during the press conference. My thing is this. Now, spoiler alert, I'm picking Broner to win, but I'm not real confident. How are you feeling about Friday night? Because it hasn't been too pretty thus far.
I'm with you on this. And I feel the same about my pick. I'm picking Broner, but I haven't felt confident in Broner in a long time to where I'm like, oh, yeah, he's winning. Back in the day, pre 2014. Yep. Before that fight, I'm telling you, I would have been like, nah, he's got this. He's my guy. He's not going to let us down. But I don't know here. It's going to be tough. And if you really think about the backstory to Blair Cobbs, I don't know if you've read it, like how he got into boxing, but very interesting to find out that this guy is leaving. I won't get into his family's past troubles, but he ends up in Mexico. He finds a gym that becomes like his haven. This is classic boxing 101 storytelling.
Yes.
Why not? And if it goes to a decision, why not pick him? Why not let Cobbs get the win? He might have more in the tank than Broner right now. Like Broner,
he's not this classic setup fight where it's like, he's I'm just throwing a random number out there. He's 21, 16, and 5. This guy is 16, 1 and 1. He's had 18 fights and 1 loss in his career.
He might catch him slipping. I'm telling you, he's got more to gain than anybody in this.
Sure,
and I think this is the test to see, Broner, do you still have it? Like, are you going to do something? Are you still the problem? Maybe we could make some money real quick, but this is a step up point for both of them.
Conrad, I wasn't going to go here, but we know that there's a really good undercard on this pay-per-view. We're going to get through this. There's a couple of guys that I really want to take a look at. Roy Barringer going up against Ian Green. I think the young general is going to be an interesting fight. Michael Hunter going up against Cassius Chaney. I'm really excited to see Antonio Perez in action against Antonio Williams. A 6-fight card. So Triller TV is not shortchanging us on Friday night. But I really want to talk a little bit about what could have been. Now, a year from now, we could be again talking about what is. Now, Adrien Broner is not the 21-year-old wonderkind that he was 10, 15 years ago. Adrien Broner is 34 years old. Yes, he still looks young. He still looks good. He's in shape. Adrien Broner is 34 years old. When you have 3 years in between fights, that's when your age goes up exponentially. He is 34 years old. This is it. This is it. And what I mean by this is it. He beat Bill Hutchinson. Not impressive at all. He's back now against Blair Cobbs. I was talking to a good friend of mine on from Triller about maybe an hour ago. I like Adrien Broner in a fight maybe against a Rolly Romero, another former champion who's had some hard luck. Adrien Broner better win this fight. And Adrien Broner, and I want you to talk about this, Conrad, Adrien Broner has more to overcome than just his shaky boxing and personal reputation. Because my question to you is, let's say Adrien Broner takes care of business on Friday night. Who's doing business with Don King Promotions? Because I'm telling you, I haven't heard much. Don King Promotions is not what it was. This is not 1995.
There's no Tommy Guns.
Come on now. Come on now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happens with this, and I hope Don's not up to his old ways still with the percentages. But
yeah, I mean, and it reeks of desperation. Now, again, there was a time I was Adrien Broner. I was a big fan of Adrien Broner. But Adrien Broner's up at the press conference talking about I'll do this to you and do that to you and threatening people's lives up on the microphone. Adrien Broner's still acting like a loose cannon. Now, could it be a ploy? Could he be back to his old moving and shaking self? Is he going to take care of business against Cobbs in 3 rounds or less and move on to bigger and better things? It's possible. But I haven't seen that Adrien Broner that moves and shakes and bakes in about 10 years.
You bring up a good point when you brought up his age. There's not a lot of time, I would say, for him to decide what he wants to do. I feel like he's at a point to where you either put your foot on the gas and go hard with this and make your money while you can right now. There's no more breaks, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. There's no time for breaks. You have to try to reach the top of the mountain that you always thought that you should be. So if he's going to do it, do it. Sorry, the chat just made me laugh. Do it now. You got to go for it right now. But that's how I feel about the problem. It's time to either reclaim the name or hang it up.
My thing is this, Conrad. The intriguing part about this fight, and I want everybody to go to Triller.tv and order TrillerTV.com, I should say, and order this fight, because you're going to either see the end of an era. The Broner era will end officially on Friday night, or I believe there has to be something brighter on the horizon. Now, you would have to think that when Broner signed with Don King a couple years ago, that there had to have been a 2 or 3 fight deal, maybe even a 4 or 5 fight deal. Hey, Adrien, you beat Hutchinson. We're going to set you up against this guy named Blair Cobbs. And then, hey, listen, I know we're fighting at the beautiful, Hollywood, Florida Hard Rock Casino, but they're bigger. I mean, you want to get back to the MGM Grand? You want to get back to the MGM Graham Garden Arena?
Decisive victory.
You come out here and you take care of business on June 7th. That's where I'm at with it, Conrad. What say you?
Like I said, you either reclaim your name, step up, do something, or you move on. And like I said, to me, if I'm Cobbs, I'm looking at this as an opportunity. This could be your Buster Douglas moment. Like,
You could.
oh, didn't see that coming, did you? Ha
It
see you later. And he's the one walking around like, no, I'm the person to beat. He's been very entertaining in all of this.
He has.
He's making
my God, he's pulling out. He's being a ventriloquist. He's sitting on a dais for a press conference and pulling out an Adrien Broner puppet. I mean, that's awesome.
I'm glad you didn't say the word I thought you were going to say.
Oh God, no, I didn't say that.
but he is showing that he can play the part too. His hands might catch you. What if he knocks out Adrien Broner? What if he wins by TKO?
I mean, it could happen. Mike Feasy saying that Tyson here and EPW. He also said I had to delete Mike Feasy is hilarious. Shout out to M. Leezy Fashizi in the building. For Broner, in all seriousness, it's do or die on Friday. I mean, look at Wilder last. Oh my goodness!
I just said that, Matt. I swear.
Big shout out to Deontay Wilder, my favorite heavyweight in the last 15 years or so. It's over. I mean, the Tyson Fury took something out of him, and that he never got back.
And maybe that's the same situation here. That's why I brought that up. Maybe it's the same story. Maybe that fight you referenced in 2014. Maybe Maidana just took it out of him.
Yeah, I mean, as you look, and I'm glad you said 2014 because it was December 7th of the previous year. But as you're going into New Year's 2014, Adrien Broner just suffers his first loss. He's looking around. He's like, okay, let me figure it out. But every fight that he's fought since then against high-profile competition, Sean Porter, Mikey Garcia, Manny Pacquiao, he's not only lost, he's looked completely outclassed.
Folded.
And again, I can't say it enough. Bill Hutchinson last year was supposed to be Adrien Broner's back. This is the typical fight to get you warmed up. Bill Hutchinson, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, so when I say his name like that, but I'm just being real. Bill Hutchinson took Adrien Broner 10 rounds. That's a problem, no pun intended. And we're looking at Friday night, Conrad, and we're like, hey, Blair Cobbs, listen, man. Just like with Deontay Wilder, but there's a big difference between Deontay Wilder and Adrien Broner. See, Deontay Wilder just got destroyed over 3 fights with Tyson Fury, and I think his body gave out on him. Adrien Broner would not have these issues. Adrien Broner's issues are not just physical.
Yeah.
There's something going on with him.
I agree. I think that plays into his breaks, the stuff that we didn't get into with his personal life. I think a lot of that plays into what's going on up here, what's going on with you. And like I said, maybe it's the fold of the big fight now. Maybe it's the fear of I'm going up against someone. There's going to be X amount of people ordering this pay-per-view. What am I supposed to do?
Wow, can you believe that? Look at Joel's comment. Shout out to Joel. Bill Hutchinson, the guy that just took Adrien Broner 10 rounds last year, is now a lawyer. Unbelievable. Good evening. Listen, man, we're not going to be with you any longer than this. We've already set the stage. Friday, June 7th, 6 p.m., the undercards begin. The ring walks probably be around 9, 10 o'clock. I'm just guessing. But this is worth the price of admission for, like I said, for one or two reasons, Conrad. We're talking about a guy who can reestablish himself as one of the biggest names in the welterweight or light welterweight division. Or we're talking about the end of Adrien the Problem Broner. Because I'm going to promise you one thing. If Blair Cobbs wins this fight, there is not anyone who would ever give Broner a legitimate chance to be a champion ever again. It's over. I mean, hang it up. You've been a multiple division world champion already. You have a really wonderful resume, a great start, a great middle, a kind of bad ending, but you're not going to get back to where you were before. You have to win this fight. And I don't think he can just win this fight by a 10-round decision clunky victory. He needs to come out and take care of business.
Oh, yeah, no, someone's got to fall. He's got to win by knockout, I feel, or this has to be so unanimous that it's not even funny.
Couple of quick programming notes. Immediately following Hubbard Wrestling Weekly right now, about 30 minutes from now, I want you guys to click over and go to the Pro Wrestling Shoot. Check out our guys, Jesse and James, as they break down the best in 2K and pro wrestling in general. Make sure you check out Jesse and James at the Pro Wrestling Shoot. If you just type the words, the Pro Wrestling Shoot, in your YouTube search box, you will find them. Check them out tonight, Tuesday night. Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. We got to have them on Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. But tonight on YouTube, on the Pro Wrestling Shoots YouTube channel. Wednesday nights, tomorrow night, catch my tag team partner, Conrad Cushman, and my guy, Derek, as they break down the best in All Elite Wrestling, as they do the best All Elite Wrestling review show each and every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Tomorrow, lunchtime, take your lunch break and listen to the next installment of Hubbanomics, Volume 3. Who am I going to be profiling? You'll find out when you tune in. Going to have a lot of fun. We're not going to reveal it right now. The first 2 episodes have been super dope, Conrad. We talked about Nia Jax. We talked about Paul Triple H Levesque as the CCO of WWE. So we're going to have Volume 3 of Hubbanomics. So we got a lot going on. Pro Wrestling Shoot tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow at 12 o'clock p.m., the next installment of Hubbanomics by Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. 10:10 on Wednesday tomorrow. Everything Pro Wrestling with Conrad Cushman and my guy, Derek. And then once again, the main event next Monday night, 6:05 Eastern Standard Time on the Everything Pro Wrestling channel. Me, him, Sean, Conrad, Clash of the By God podcast. So once again, make sure you go to Triller.tv, TrillerTV.com. My God, I keep messing that up. Blame my head, not my heart. TrillerTV.com. It's very simple. Make the order. Adrien the Problem Broner attempts to regain prominence as he goes up against the young upstart by the name of Blair Cobbs in I consider an eliminator fight for Adrien Broner. He loses this fight, it's over. He wins this fight, who knows? Maybe he's back on the championship scene. So on behalf of my good friend and tag team partner, the one and only Conrad Cushman, my name is Sean Hubbard. This is Hubbard Wrestling Weekly Combat Sports, and we are Clash of the Podcast. We'll see you tomorrow at 12. We'll see you tomorrow at 10:10, and we'll see you next Monday night at 6:05 p.m. on Everything Pro Wrestling. This is Clash of the Podcast on Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. We'll check you next time.